I don't know anything about your situation, just so you know. So we'll have to start from the top.
No problem.
And I'll let you go ahead so we don't waste any time.
Okay, cool. So he'll probably run down here in a second, but I have a 2.5-ish-year-old pit mix. We got him about a year ago, so he was a year and a half, and he had never been in a home before. He was abandoned around 6 months old. Was in a high kill shelter in North Carolina. I live in Virginia, and a shelter here pulled him, so that's how we got him. But he was in kennel for a year. Yeah. So that being said, he's really skittish and anxious around other dogs, which comes out in the form of aggression, especially on leash. We have neighbors behind us. He loves our neighbors' dogs, but they're separated by a fence. You know, like he gets very excited to see them, but they can't get too close, so they're safe.
So he doesn't trigger at them. He knows who they are.
Yeah, they're fine, but he doesn't like them if we see them out on a walk. It's
because he's already assuming any dog is.
Yeah. Any dog on a leash is horrifying, and we need to either climb me like a tree or kill them.
Gotcha.
Which
you don't want either.
We've been working with a trainer here for about a year. Unfortunately, she's moving to Florida, so we won't have her anymore for any like board and train experience or her coming here.
Did he have the explosive behaviors when you first started working with the trainer?
Yeah, so that's how we started with it, and they go in and out, to be honest with you. So when we first got him, the shelter we got him from was like, oh yeah, like he doesn't mind other dogs, which was not factual.
I'm sorry about that. No,
yeah, very quickly not true. Which whatever, we were both prepared for that. We took him to a training that was, all reward-based, gentle training. He's stubborn as all hell, so that was not for him.
No, I know, yeah.
So he's e-collar trained, he wears a prong, and he's smart as hell. I mean, he learns everything in 2 seconds, but he is just such in a tizzy when other dogs look at him.
I know how to help with that, but yeah, that's just, I know that situation. It's a sad one because the dog. Yeah. The thing is that what was neglected is the experiences that he needed to develop properly, and so he's got. He's got what I guess I'd call superstitions because they're not necessarily right. They're not right.
Yeah. Right.
It's like that dog's not actually going to hurt you, and so we also call that bad judgment. And that tends to be what caused a lot of stress. You get locked away, and the world goes on. You don't understand it. You're not introduced, and it's a human's world, so it's like confusing. It can be confusing. So there is help for this, and it's basically what I do. What I do is I take a dog like that and I integrate them into my pack. I think that you need to use other dogs as the pack is going to be the way, but it has to be nature's pack. It can't be what people. It can't be that bullshit. It has to be dogs. So there's biting and there's that, but only none of the other dogs will be correcting him, just me. But I have to be a dog in that moment. But he needs to have that experience. He's going to be asked to be integrated into a pack, and he's not going to feel comfortable. He's not going to want to do it. He's going to make a mistake, and he's going to maybe snap at a dog or flip out. And in that moment, that's where I can come in and start talking to him.
Okay.
And that what I basically do is all the experiences that he's lacking, he's going to have right there. Reality is going to happen for him, and he's going to realize you can't strike at other dogs without me coming in and dealing with it.
Right.
And I submit a dog in the dog whispering fashion in the middle of a pack of dogs.
Yeah.
And when that happens, once that's done, once the dog has had their little tissy and then they've surrendered and they're relaxed with me, they're relaxed right there. Come on, dogs, my dogs, come sniff them, come sniff them. And if there's any tension or if there's any stuff like that, we're talking about it right now. Because if I talk about it right now, it doesn't happen tomorrow. And I can tell you this right now, this dog will come live with me and this is done. It's done.
Yeah.
For me. But I'm doing this, so I'm letting him know this is what I'm disagreeing with. Not disagreeing with you being nervous. I'm not disagreeing with you being afraid. I'm disagreeing with what you do with those emotions. So I'm telling him what I want you to do is surrender and relax. That's the beginning. And then we'll tie commands into that later. But just surrender your mind. You have to. It's your only way of surviving in this pack. and they do. They
Right.
all do. And then they end up building relationships with me and my pack, and they do feel comfortable. Like you said, he can build a relationship. This is a good sign.
Right.
It's a good sign for him.
Yeah, he can. And
Yeah.
he spent a week with our trainer, and like she has other dogs. There are 3 other dogs in
Right.
the house, but she was like, God, he was just stubborn as shit because he knows a place stay like in a heartbeat, but he refuses to put his head down when he's like in a mood.
Yeah, no, I get it, and that's pretty much what I'm addressing in that
Okay.
initial experience. Is I'm saying I'm in control of this pack in this new environment, and it's in my house. He doesn't know, and they adapt to it, and what I do is I create a follower mentality. So that's more important. That's why if you listen to our videos, you hear me talk about how it doesn't matter. It's not, the secret isn't obedience training. That's what people think.
Right.
They think if he knows sit down and place, he'll be good. It's like, no, because you can teach a kid to read and write, but it doesn't mean he's going to have good behavior. And people are just like, oh, he knows sit and he knows down. What's more important is that how the dog views you.
Right.
In the pecking order of the pack, and how to take direction from a human, which is a different species. And eventually that does get to sit down place, but it's an attitude thing. And so it's an adjustment of the frame of mind, and it's having them take a lower position in the pack than what they currently have. And once they accept that, we see the best of the dog. You see, you see it, and you see now you have a chance to start and build him up and show him things in a way where we start from scratch, and I show you how to react. And what he's going to notice is this: no matter the situation, what I want you to do is the same.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Right.
And he
He's
gets
gotten
it.
better. He knows to look at me in most situations, and
That's
it's like,
good.
okay, she's in charge. But it's certain dogs too. Some of them he's like, whatever, they can
Yeah.
walk by.
Yeah, but there's going to be dogs that are going to be throwing him, flipping on the bird and stuff, and he has got to learn to ignore that. But
Get over.
the only way I can do that is become his pack leader and really do it. Just that's how I get these dogs over these things. And then once I finally get that done, he's not going to be reacting to dogs with me, with or without an e-collar. It doesn't matter. It's me who's holding them together, and that's the beginning. That's the beginning. Now I start the e-collar stuff, and I start getting the commands in there, and I start the association of the stim with and what to do in these situations. Now it's more training. But I'm telling you, if you don't go and do the behavioral stuff first for this guy, because he needs somebody to hold his hand a little bit and to really give him all these experiences in a concentrated form, like in a month, and that's what I do best. It's what I do best. I'm a good trainer too, but it's not my primary focus.
Yeah, it's the relationship with him, and he's a totally different dog than when we brought him home. But it's been a process.
You can get what you're looking for with him, I'm sure. I haven't met him, but a lot of these dogs, they just need it to be explained. They need that light bulb moment a few times and to change the communication system and change the way that you live with him a little bit and the way that he treats you. Like certain rules we'll have, that's where the structure comes in. And then you see a dog blossom, and because he's going to need you to be the leader so that he doesn't feel like it's not even an option for you to make a choice because that's not allowed right now.
Right.
Eventually, you might get him to the point where he can make some good judgment and actually make a bark that's not inappropriate and anything. But right now what we do is we say, we want you to do none of it, even if it is appropriate. It's not your role to be reactive. And a dog can learn this. They can learn this. You're in an empty room with no distractions. Something new comes into that room. The dog reacts to it in any way. A dog could be aggressive, a dog could be curious, whatever it is, they make a behavior towards that thing. They direct it towards them. And I say, don't do that. It doesn't matter if it's a ball, a cat, a dog. I don't want you to, because here's why. This is why the dog understands it. In a pack of dogs, if that were to happen, and something valuable came rolling into the room, it's not a free-for-all. Not in an established pack. And the way the pack is established is how they're going to fight over it. They've already done that. So what they do is they know that the one particular dog gets first access to it. He gets to decide whether he wants it or not. And if he doesn't want it, then you guys can fight over it. But if he wants it, so I'm tapping into that. I'm saying it's not that it's a dog. It's not that it's a piece of food. It doesn't matter what it is. What I'm saying is mine. That's why. Not because that's not what you're supposed to do in society, but because everything's mine and I don't want you to touch it. And when you get into that space with the dog, they get it, and it's not confusing to them. It's not like, how am I supposed to react around these things? I'm saying you're supposed to not react around them at all.
You are not.
Yeah, you're supposed to ignore. And he can do this, and he'll understand. He'll learn the coping skills to learn how to do this, and he'll be praised for it. And we develop a dog who learns how to get over stress without leaving that space, that calm space. He'll go. We don't want him to enter that space. But if he does enter it, this is the cool part for you and us with modern day technology. The training, he leaves the calm state of mind and starts to get stressed and worried. By the end of the training, if we tap him on an e-collar stim low, that will produce calmness. That will bring him back to the calm state. And our job is to keep him self-regulating. So he'll know how to keep himself calm when he leaves here. In front of triggers, he'll have the skills. He'll know it's expected and he'll know how to do it. If he decides not to hold himself accountable, that's where we correct him. We're not nagging this dog. We're not nagging him for every little mistake. We're saying, hold yourself together. And if you stop trying to hold yourself together, now I'm upset. If you're trying, we're good. We are good. Right. If you're not trying, we have a problem. And that's how we get a dog to be their best selves. I'm not trying to make him something he's not, but I am trying to make him the best he can be, and I'm holding him accountable for it. And then you know what happens is you love the dog more when this is all done.
Right.
And the dog loves you more too because you've been through shit.
Right.
And you haven't given up. I'm telling you that the whole barking and this stuff and that stuff can all go away pretty fast.
Yeah.
But we also want to make sure he starts to get a little confident with the life that you're giving him. He's not running into things that are making him nervous all the time. You know?
Right.
So, as far as the reactivity, you can probably get that shut down at a lot of different places, not just mine. So you can. I know a lot of places that will stop that very effectively, and you'll have success going home. The thing that we offer here, if you were looking for a place like ours, on top of that, is we're going to help his understanding of the world and how to live.
That's the thing. He's got none.
I know.
You know, he was never in a home.
And now it's hard to do it because when you bring him out, he triggers. And you have no way to bring him to this healthy space. So once we teach him, here's the healthy space. He needs to learn that first. Then I can disagree with the other space and tell him to go back to the healthy space. And I can rewire his brain. And then you can go home and continue to rewire him for 6 months. And you'll see how comfortable he'll be with your average life, though. You'll be able to take a walk without, I feel bad for dogs like this because it's really from a place from stress, and it's just we can't talk to them.
It is, and I mean, the shelter he was in was like a little dog shelter. He was the only big weird guy there, and they were all barking all the time. So like
he was a misfit from the start, poor guy.
Yeah, and I mean, he's like a pit bull with a beard. He does not fit in, like.
I think that there's definitely help for guys like him, but if you're choosing help, just make sure you're looking at somebody who also does behavioral work like that. But based in reality, though, because you can get like the purely positive stuff, which I know how to do and I do. But the thing is, it has its limitations because nature doesn't operate that way. So a dog leaves more confused. They don't actually get an understanding of how the world works, and it leaves them unprepared. I think that's good to start a dog off with. If you get a puppy and you're 8 weeks old and you want to just do some stuff, do it all. Do all the clicker training. Eventually, it's like, got to put your big boy pants on and here's some consequences for this stuff.
He was too smart for it. He was like, no.
No, it's easy. It's easy for them to learn that way.
Yeah.
And it's definitely easier to train that way, but there's certain dogs that won't learn well that way, so they just end up saying, well, the dog's fucked up. And then,
which is why we've been working with another trainer for about a year, but she's like, you're moving to Florida.
It's rough. You need to be able to have the skills that this dog needs on your own without a trainer.
Right.
And I think you can get that. Getting him educated, he needs his rehab.
He does.
He does. He needs that process, but he needs you to be at least like a place like mine will at least keep you informed through those videos. And the videos are really, we try to really make show as much as possible, without being too boring. But we'll do that so you'll get that education. But then when you come and integrate yourself with him back to the pack, we really got to spend some time, like two solid go homes of material before you take him home, at least. And then going home, showing you it's not that difficult the way that you open up his world. You start small at home and then you open up, but you know how. This is the difference, is now you know how to disagree with that toxic state of mind and create that calm state of mind with him. And you can go through his day doing that until it won't take you very long after a program like this. You won't have the reactivity anymore. You won't have that, but you will have a dog who's still kind of like because it's your territory. Only in the beginning, because he'll get over that here, but when he goes back home, he's still superstitious about this place because he's been there before. You'll go through the process, depending on where you live. You're in Virginia. We might actually be able to help you with that, or a company out there, if there is one, can come to your house and do one there too. I think it would be smart to do them here at a facility first, and then go and do a session in his neighborhood, and then let you guys do it for a week or two, check up, and see how we're doing. There's going to be a little bit of that until you feel like, and you will get there. You'll be like, I don't actually need help anymore. And you'll get there, and then you're good. And we're always here for a resource, and I'm sure a lot of trainers usually are. But yeah, I think that this would be the missing link. You're using the e-collar already, and you want to make sure that he gets it. He understands the e-collar. There's no confusion.
Yeah, he's good with it.
Good.
For the most part. We laugh because half the time I don't know where the remote is, but like, we have a roller that's the same color. So if I have that
is
he's
fine.
like, oh, okay, cool.
You see, they know when they got it on too, and that is a limitation of the e-collar, but it does allow you to get that nice off-leash recall, and it allows you to correct them without touching them.
To be fair, if I have it in my hand and it's not on him, he still thinks he has to listen.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So and so we have the e-collar. But I will also teach you a little bit more. And if you look for somebody who does like dog whisper, it's going to be really hard to find somebody who right now.
Yeah.
I think they're being developed as we speak. But dog whispering and plus behavioral knowledge plus modern day e-collar in the same place is hard to find.
That's what I feel like we've gotten like a piece at each different place we've gone to. Where it's like, but I need it all to be together. Because my thing with him, I really don't care if he likes other dogs, but we have a shitload of dogs in our family, so he needs to be able to chill out and not kill them.
And then you can be responsible to keep those dogs away from him. But by the time you're done with this, you're going to be able to train dogs, so you might as well do that. I mean, honestly, there's such a lack of people who have interest in behavior plus the training with the e-collar, that right now people are jumping on it. They have never trained a dog before, but they seem to have that thing. Like I'm talking to you, I'm like, oh, she seems to have that thing and that mindset.
When we have a family member that runs a rescue in Texas, we're dog people.
You live in reality, you get it, but you understand. But you see dogs for what they are, though. Too.
Yeah,
I mean, it is a dog, and so there's a large amount of people that get dogs and they don't realize that they're predators, and their kids get bit in the face and stuff. It's bad. And so you need to know what it is, and so anyway, so what I can say is there is help out there. It's not something that I would give you details on how to do it over Skype, because it's one of those things. It's definitely rehab, and there are places that I mean I can give you a list of the trainers that I would trust that are in the country. They're not necessarily close. But I can tell you, and you can look them up and start to see how everybody's got, because you're a consumer, you want to know. All right, the guys that I think that are top notch in the country and that will absolutely be able to handle somebody of his caliber. We're gonna start up on the East Coast. A guy in New York City called Blake Rodriguez is his name. His company is called Dream Come True Canine.
Okay.
They are, and his letter K, number 9. He is right in Manhattan, and he is one of the best in the country for behavioral work with the modern day e-collar, like the whole everything. It's all taken care of. It's great.
Okay.
I think he's better than our company, but Drew's biased. And so, and then he's got a buddy that's up in New York too. That's in Buffalo, and his company's called Calm Connection Canine, I think, or something. And his name's Tyler Muto. All this is on video, so you don't have to write it all down. And those two up there, basically up there, are they are probably the best 2 places in the country. I think we're good. And I think we can do just as good a job, but I think that they're just veterans and they've been down that road, so they can handle it. And then there's Rhode Island. There's a company, Solid Canine Training. His name is Jeff Galman, and he's one of the best in the country. So I would send my dog there and watch his content. Let's see, am I missing anybody? There's not many. I told you.
I know. That's been the thing. I've been vetting all these places for months, being like, oh, that's not gonna be good for him.
Soon there will be. There's a whole bunch of new trainers that are just about 2 years off from being real legit. It's just a changing industry. Things are changing fast, and people need help
Right.
now. But as far as studying, as if I was in your shoes, I would also be watching. I would be watching old dog whispering stuff, the Cesar Millan stuff, because you can see the way he deals with reactive dogs in those early.
Yeah.
And you can see how he. I use a lot of his techniques. They're very dangerous. So I'm not telling you to, but I'm just saying you can see that there is success with it though. There's hope for your guy. You know, he's not he's not done. But we want to do it soon though.
See it with them.
Yeah, and we don't want him to stay stuck there forever. So, but rehab, and it's expensive. All right. So if you look at all these places that I'm telling you, and you look at ours, we might be the cheapest, but maybe not. It's all going to be at least. It's going to be at least like $3 to $4 for us probably.
Yeah.
But if you go to Blake, it's probably going to be like $6,000, maybe even $8,000. It's expensive. So you have that to think about too.
Yeah.
Do you want to send him to a trainer, or do you want to do it yourself and then eventually start training dogs?
Yeah, honestly.
Because you honestly could do that; it'd be cheaper, and and you probably could do that. You probably could handle this guy.
Watching all the videos and all the things for months on him, and he's like right on the edge of it. Some days I'm like, there he is, but then he's like, grows right back.
Or maybe another option that's available for you at a lot of places, you could do a shadow / training your dog thing, which is it's like you have interest in learning how to do the process, plus you need help with your dog. So it's like you send your dog for the rehab, and at the end of the rehab, towards the end of the rehab, like halfway through, or maybe even at the end, you would come shadow, which is just a regular shadow, and the dog would. You would integrate you, but you would also be learning on other dogs. Or a cheaper version would be to just do the shadow. Don't bring your dog, or bring your dog, but don't expect me to rehab it, but just work with it on the side. That would be a lot cheaper. So then you're looking at a shadow program where you're like $2,200, and you could learn how to do it. Maybe it will work, but maybe it won't. And if you learn how to do it, it will work. You will have more success with him because it's not that. Once you see it done, you have to see it done. The process of how.
I feel like
once you see it, you're done.
Stuff with him, we're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Like once we see it with him, we're like, oh, okay. Like
you just need to see it.
I don't know why I didn't think about that.
But you can't quite see it. You can see some of my old videos where it's in there, but a lot of them had to get taken down because they're going to be corrections, and people are misusing the content. So the shadow students get to see it, and they get to see how the dog. The proper way to do it is it's the dog's own experience. We're not forcing anything on the dog, and he doesn't feel necessary. So there's a setup. There's a certain way to set it up so that the message gets to the dog, and then there's a cleanup, and then you get to see, oh, that's how it's done. That works. And once you see it, I think that's what you really need. Once you start practicing, you'll learn how to do it with a couple practices. And so I just want to give you all your options. You send them someplace. You can shadow. You could do what I did and just start doing it. And it doesn't always, it's not always, dogs will try to bite you, but it's your own dog, so you're good.
Yeah, I don't really care either.
He probably,
I had a 14-year-old Shih Tzu. It was the same way. Every time we took her to the vet, they're like, you want me to put the muzzle on? I was like, no, she won't bite me.
If you got that relationship, it's all about the relationship, man.
Yeah, she won't even try, so.
You would do well out here because your mentality, that's all we're looking for is somebody who's ready to learn. You would do well in a shadow program because you already have, some people don't have that much experience when they come here. You would think that they do, but some people just start and they come right here and they don't even know how to operate the remote or anything. And I'm not kidding you. And that's not bad, they learn, but I just don't want you to feel like you won't fit in or something because I'm telling you, some people are vets when they come here. Some people are, they've been doing it long.
I'm a teacher. I teach.
Oh, okay.
Get it. My kids are the same as my dogs.
You get it. You just need to know the process of what system am I going to get them on, because we all have our systems, like the driving, where we're on the system when we're driving. What system can I get them on that works, that allows me to now raise him with little stress, as less stress as possible with this dog, and still enjoying each other. And so the e-collar system that we use is it's super simple to pick up on once you get it. Once you understand how the process works, it's really easy to hold a dog accountable. And the only reason a person wouldn't be successful is if they had a moral issue with correcting, but you're already over that. You don't have that. so you're fine. So you're not gonna have any problems.
Dogs, so like,
You know? And it's a fair process when we do it with these dogs. They understand that you can give them a warning. But if I give you a warning and then you go and do it, I'm not giving you another warning.
Yeah, and he knows, like, he'll do it and look at me like, fuck.
And
like,
in that moment, you'll have it. You know what you need. And it's just, I think you're the type of person that once you see it, you're like, I got it, and I don't need the help anymore. I mean, maybe you will, maybe you'll want more help, but once you see how to set a dog up to see how a professional is actually going to be correcting it. Because don't you want to see that? Listen, I'm weird. I'm a professional, but I don't want to send my dog to a professional because I want to see what happens.
Right. Well, that's how I am with him. So the trainer we started working with her last March, and she came to us, which was fantastic. So, but then we would like not encounter dogs in the neighborhood, and that was the biggest thing. We're like, yeah, he can listen all day long, but we need to do this part of it.
Well, so that you know,
we missed that part.
That's the thing. So another thing I want to tell you, just because I'm on your side here with when it comes to you are a dog consumer, let's say you're a consumer looking for a professional in the dog industry. You are special. And so I want to make sure I put this out there. It is, I'm going to try not to be, it should have not, in a year's time with that trainer, you should have had 10 bad dogs done by now. Or more, 12, 30, 60 of them. We do 120 of them a year. 120 of your, you know, and your guys are probably 50, and I probably do all of them, you know.
That was the thing. Another dog did not come into play until we were like, can you bring one?
Oh, yeah. So it's just, you know, and it's cool. It's just that, this isn't a regulated field, so when you're looking for a dog trainer, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what's proper, and nobody seems to know. Like, what is this okay? So I think it's taken advantage of that. It's like we're just gonna string you along. Our motto is like, dude, let's just stop it today, right?
Yeah,
and then
enough's enough, honestly.
And then enough's enough. And then if a dog is really sensitive and needs a real, like your guy's sensitive, so he needs a program.
Yeah.
That's why I'm suggesting rehab, because of the sensitivity.
He needs it.
Yeah, if he was a cocky dude who was just being an asshole, we would just shut that down in a session or two.
Right.
No problem.
He can just be a dick some days.
Right, he can be, but he does have that real sensitive side, and you don't want to go cracking on him. A stranger just go cracking on him. It's not, will it shut him up? Sure.
Yeah.
He'll shut up, but now you got to deal with.
Completely.
Yeah, and now you got to deal with that shit, and you don't want that. You want him to still remain confident, or at least build confidence, but no, don't do this or this. And so for him, because he's sensitive, he's a pity mix, right? Is he a purebred pity?
No.
He's a mix.
So
you said he got a beard,
like
right?
a tiny bit. It's an American Staff, English Staff, and Schnauzer.
No kidding.
So he's a pit bull with a beard, and he's like 35 pounds.
I love it.
He's great
Little
looking. He looks like a man.
I love that. So
Yeah.
it's always great when they look.
The rest of it was just terrier.
Oh my god. So he's got all the stubbornness and the brattiness, you know, because you know, like a purebred pit bull.
He's vocal.
Oh great. So you got yourself a mess. Yeah. It's just.
He's funny.
You know.
I mean, he's gotten leagues better, and I'm not exaggerating.
Good.
Like, we signed the adoption papers. They brought him to the house. He jumped on the table. Like, he had nothing. There was nothing in there.
You've domesticated him a little bit.
Yeah.
It seems
we were
like.
holy shit, like, what is this dog? But, I mean, he knows not to look at me sideways anymore. But, like.
Good. He needs to know that that's what he's living with, and then you can have your thumb, and then he'll listen.
Yeah.
But then the rehab thing. So really, I guess if this guy didn't have that issue going on, you wouldn't be calling me, because you're the kind of person that just would just stop it.
It's just the other dog, so it's like, you're so good except for this one part.
Yes, and it's such
his marbles.
And it's such a like a niche thing to know how to do it. It's a very, you'd have to study. Like you could do it if you studied for a year. You would know how to do it, and you would be successful.
Baby.
He's a whiny baby.
That's how we describe him. Big. He's really tough until he's a whiny baby. And
there you go. Yeah, and so I know what you're dealing with. I work with a lot of pit bulls, and I've had my share of schnauzers, and schnauzers, like a pity schnauzer mix plus a terrier, that sounds like a disaster.
He's a lot of fun.
Just, you know, like a lot of personality, I'm sure.
He hands down is the sweetest dog I've ever had in my life. I love dogs. Like, he adores any human. No person can do any wrong.
That's
like,
good.
We take him to pandemic times, pick up the groceries. You know, people open the trunk, and he's like, "Hey."
That is
you
good.
want
See, this is good. So he's not like, because you get these dogs sometimes that are this way towards dogs, but they don't make friends. Let me show you how bad it gets. This is the worst it gets. The dogs that don't even have dog friends. It doesn't exist. And they actually, when they go to attack, they're going for the kill. And also, they are aggressive towards people. And also, they will bite their owners. It's like they show up here sometimes, and you're like, fuck. And they're nervous. And they're insecure. And it's like, wow, we got some work to do. So I think you guys are going to have an easier, it's still rehab, but I think as soon as he trusts me and respects me.
Yeah, and I think that's been the thing with trainers. They're like, oh, but he's so sweet. And I'm like, yeah, but watch him. He'll be a dick in 2 seconds if a dog walks by.
Yes. My whole thing is, just so you know, my whole thing is about dogs, what we need from them. I boiled it down with my care. I'm like, this is the only reason I have a job. It's because there's 2 conversations you have with a dog. And if they fail, you call a guy like me. You ask your dog to do something. That's a conversation, and they don't. There's one conversation that we don't like having, that we have all the time. The other one is you tell your dog to stop doing something, and they don't. So that's it. And I go after both of those. So for me, a good relationship is the dog does it even when they don't want to. For me, because we might need it at any given time out in the world. I might need to have you say, "Come here," and I need you to not even think that it's an option, not listening, because it could be your life. So we need that in there, and that is part of this training. But also, the behavioral part is the knowledge of the behavior is there so that we don't fuck a dog up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
All this. I've been used to hunting dogs where if I say, you could be full sprint, if I say sit, they fucking hit the deck.
Yeah.
So, like, I need him to do that.
Yes, you do. I agree. For safety and just for fucking, like, sanity purposes.
Just because. He likes rabbits also. So
Right. Prey drive.
So he takes off after rabbits, which he gets better at, but he's dumb and he bolts. We have part of our driveway in the fence in our backyard, and so then he rips his pads off because he's chasing them so hard.
And he's got the pity in there, so that might be like make him a little more game too, like less likely to worry about pain, and like. So it's like great. Now we might have a little monster. So the way that I would do that, of course, the e-collar is great, but the beep specifically, we use a beep. So it like the best thing about this. Yeah, no, none of them do. They freak out with that, right?
I think it's funny.
Isn't that funny? Because you're like, I'll just put on vibrate because I don't want to shock you. But then it turns out the vibrate freaks him out.
He doesn't like the sound. So.
No, but the beep gives him an ultimatum because he understands that means you just said come. And if he goes, okay, I'm with mom, but there's something I want. It could be a rabbit, but it could really just be something you want. It's a rabbit, something I really want. You see that he wants it. He starts headed towards it. You go beep. Okay, all you said is, in that moment you said, I don't want you going after that, I want you to stay with me. He hears you say that. I'm not panicking at this point. The dog's gonna do what it's gonna do. As soon as he takes another, if he says, all right, I'm gonna commit towards that rabbit, I'm just gonna correct him. Boom, a nice heavy one. And then, this is my style. And then I go, beep, just to say, come again. The dog runs back to me, and I'm like, what happened?
Look at that.
You didn't listen. Now, you want to go after the rabbit? No, you don't.
Oh, we do that with the fence.
So you don't want to go after the rabbit. So then I say, good boy. And then every time we come up on a rabbit in the future or something like it, and you see the dog think about it, but then, and this is the important part, but then he goes, I'm not going to do that. And he looks up at you and chooses your leadership.
Yes.
That you have to say good. Good boy.
Yes, that's the thing.
Good boy.
I mean, that's how we trained him out of running out of the fence. Because I was like, I dare you. Like, go.
That's the style. That's what humans used to do. Humans used to do this. I'm convinced.
I absolutely dare you. Run out that fence. See what happens.
Well, you're from Virginia, girl, aren't you?
Yes.
I mean, this shows. That's great. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I come from the East Coast, up in the mountains, where the people are pretty tough up there. But as soon as you go into the cities, as soon as you hit the cities, the mentality shifts. And I'm not saying people aren't tough in the cities. I'm saying that the way that a lot of the people live with the dogs is different than the country.
Right. He's absolutely my child, but he's still a
Oh,
like,
yeah. I love my dogs like my child, but even my child's got to listen. It's just how, if you're raised like that, it's what your expectation is. And you know what? That's all you're asking for, though. He's not paying the mortgage. He's not paying rent. You're just saying, hey, when I say to do something, do it. And when I say to don't do it, do it. That's it. That's the whole game, bud.
That's it.
That's the whole game.
Just be here, you'll eat, you're good.
We'll be great, okay? No, you got
a submissive thing, too. I mean, like, I brush his teeth, I cut his nails, we do all the things. He does not care. So I'm like, I just need you to stop yelling at things.
It's real good. I mean, he's not biting. He's happy towards people. It's a very good thing. If we can get the dog thing, if we can get the dog thing over, and also what I'll teach him, I don't think I mentioned this, but part of the process is teaching him how to socialize with other dogs, how to.
Yeah, that's it.
It's big.
He's like the weird kid in kindergarten.
Yeah, he doesn't know how, and he gets uncomfortable. If they go to sniff his butt, it's like, don't do that, right? And like,
he won't let you
right?
in there.
So he needs to learn how to go to the cocktail party, and this is something that I will teach him, and I'll encourage him to do.
Yeah.
And he will eventually, especially with the girls. They usually, they're here for a while. So like 2 weeks in, he's like, I'm ready to play with some dogs.
Yeah.
They'll play, and he'll learn. Also, what's really important is what to do when he's uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And so I'll teach him just walk away and come over here. I'll tell that dog to go.
That's the thing. I need him
Just
just
walk
back away. Like, my sister has big old doofy black lab. He absolutely fucking hates him. Moose doesn't even know he exists, and he hates him. And I'm like, Moose is dumb as a doorknob and just wants to smell you. It's not gonna do a thing to you.
Yeah, he
but
doesn't want him
because
close.
he's breathing in his area, he can't handle it.
That's right. It's space. As soon as he comes to the intimate space with all like 2-3 feet, then he knows he's going for a social interaction. He does not want that because he doesn't understand it. He doesn't know how to do it, and it makes him nervous. But once he learns how to do it, though, you generally see a dog who then enjoys it, and then we're going to see his real character. Though you might see that now I want to hump this dog, this little 7-pound female who I finally socialized with, and you know what I mean. And then you correct him for that. Where does he stand in the pack? He's not a leader.
He's saying it like, I need him to get over it, because then her other dog is a 80-pound Bernese Mountain Dog girl who is absolutely in charge of every dog she's ever been around. So I'm like, I need him to fucking get over it so Millie can put him in his place.
Yeah, seriously.
Like,
Dude,
that's all I need.
200 and what?
She's an 80-pound
Oh,
Berner,
80.
and like, I just need her to tell him what's up. But
No, I know that experience does go a long ways. I tend to with a dog like him because they're so, again, like you come from regular dogs that will work. With a sensitive guy, he could take it the wrong way and just assume that now it just reconfirms that all dogs are dangerous. Because
which
he's
is
got.
why he does not like big black dogs, because the only two he's ever met ran out of their house and ran up to him.
You see, it's a dance to get this dog to understand what we need him to understand, and so that's why I want to give you a few names. Because there's good trainers out there. I'm not saying they can handle this guy's not of average skill set. You need somebody. You need an expert. You do.
Yes.
He's a good dog, and you can fuck him up. People can fuck him up if they're thinking about they just want to light him up. Just light him up.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's really gonna make him feel good about these dogs. You know what I mean?
Right. That's what I've been so worried about with it, because it's like, of course, when he gets jumpy and you want to correct, but you're like, but now it's like, whatever.
Because he's assuming the dogs are all part. Because the dogs are here, all this is happening. Listen, I need to get him to understand that. I want to get to the point where I can correct you around dogs, and you know that it's only because you're engaging with something. That's it. It's because you're going up and trying to react, and it's me disagreeing. It has nothing to do with the dogs, and you can see the dog's stress go away, dude. You can see it go away. But it's such a process. It's finicky. He has to. And I see why you're calling, because it's like I want to correct him, but when do I do it? Because you're right. You can absolutely just make it worse by correcting when his mind is so focused on the other dogs. He's going to get to the point where he sees another dog and he's expecting the correction now, and now he's got that on the back of his mind. Yeah, we don't want to get there.
He is smart. He will connect.
We can't do that. I need to start talking to him. See, he's already got e-collar experience, so he's more difficult now because it's not his first. He's already got his own associations to what the e-collar means now. I have to change it. So that's why it's rehab, It's like, go through the whole.
That's his thing.
It
was all about, the respect of it. We did all the commands and things without it first. It was all prom trained.
Yeah.
And then we brought it in, but then I feel like we missed that part with the other dog. So then he's like, well, what the fuck? Like, this was just for sitting down,
Yeah, see, that's the thing is. Let me. You just brought up a point that a lot of trainers, if they're watching this, they should listen to. The introduction to the stim. To me, it's sacred. It's sacred because that's my hand. Yeah. That's my way of biting you. I need this to be sacred. It doesn't mean sit. It doesn't mean down. See, this is the thing. They want it to mean sit down. For me, none of that's introduced. That collar is my way of communicating with you informally, without command. It's my way of disagreeing with you. It's my way of getting your attention. That's me. Like another dog would nip you, that's me. I let the dog know that first. Any attitude adjustment is going to be captured with that stim. That stim will be involved, so it'll teach the dog to have that calm state of mind after being corrected. The dog knows after being corrected to calm the mind. That is not being done in other places. So the dog gets amped up. And so our dogs get corrected and you see them relax more. Even if they're in a walk, they just relax more. And then they always get rewarded for that because I'm saying, yeah, just don't worry about that stuff. And we do that first, and then this is before it's introduced to sit down. So now when I introduce it to sit down and place and heel, I can add that calmness into it and all the associations of me and my leadership into it. It's not a game. It's not a class where you're just doing a trick, you're getting a reward, and you're popping up. Because this is life training. You're a pack member, and I need to know that this tool, I have to explain that that's my bite. Because previously to that, I could whap you with a newspaper, or I could throw something at you. I don't have to explain that. You know that's me. This you need to know is me correcting you. But if it's not explained that way, and we keep it real rigid, like real training, like sit, click, good, like all that, that shit, it doesn't prepare them for real life. When you go to use it and you see them and they go and flip out at a dog and you go to a higher number and they go, wow! And they flip out. Huh?
He pays no mind to it. If it's, he's like, all right, cool. Go up, I guess. Like, he doesn't, this means nothing once another dog comes around. So it's like...
No, I can fix that too. But yeah, so it's all about the association to the stem, Like, my son listens to me a lot better, than a lot of people. He listens to me better than he listens to anybody. And it's because of experiences I've had with him. So when he hears my certain tone, hey, a little lower, you know how it works, right?
That's how my students are. A lot of them listen to me more than they listen to their mom. So
there you go. So you understand. The e-collar needs to be seen like that. When he feels that stem, it should bring the reminder of my first experiences with him and who I am and that it's me, and then they listen because it's my voice. You know what I mean? People aren't looking at it like that. They're not looking at it through a behavioral lens or through even they say they're doing science, but it's like, but you're forgetting they're animals. It's like you're not really. You're like, and they're not gonna be. You can't just train in a box. You gotta. And so my stuff starts in real life with a dog, as if we're living with a dog and training didn't exist. It's just something we never discovered. I'm gonna get you there. I'm gonna get you a good dog before we go there, and then I'll add the training on top of that. And that's, to me, our doors are being busted down because people are happy because their dog's a good dog. It's not just a dog who knows some shit, it's still being an asshole. I get you. But listen, you're on the right track, girl. You are on the right track. It's kind of exciting because this dog's gonna how old are you, by the way? I'm not trying to, 26, right there. Like, it's like, it might open your eyes up to just how many people don't understand how the world works. I mean, you're a teacher. You already get it. Who am I kidding? You're like, you think when you're a kid that adults get it. You're like, adults must understand how the world works. No, they don't. And just look how it falls apart. And now you're like, great. Most people just don't get the behavioral thing. You get it because you do it. Listen, you grew up in the country anyway. You've been around dogs. You're a teacher. You get it more than most people in this country.
Right. And we have family members who have dogs who are totally not it. We're like, oh my God, I can't handle it.
And it doesn't mean you don't love. That's the whole thing. Is like you said something earlier that it was like you're like, I love my dog. Like, don't get me wrong, they're my kid. But and you're gonna keep them in line because it's just.
It's for his safety too, and I think there's certain things where he understands that, and certain things where he's like, I don't give a shit. I'm doing this right now.
And that's when you're like, oh, buddy. You jerk. And I know that. I've been there. Oh yeah, and then the whole, and then it's the other stuff, and it's like.
He's the drama.
It's like
there's a lot of drama.
You don't have kids, do you? Yeah.
No.
That's why.
I'm 17 on my computer right now. I'm not.
Woo! Because I'll tell you what, it would just add to the stress of the day. I tell you.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But he lost my nephew. I have a 4 or 3-year-old nephew, and they're like best friends. So.
Oh no, I that's great. He'll do good with kids. I'm just thinking like when you're already stressed out to the max from the career, and then the 2-year-old, and then he does this whiny shit. Then you're gonna want to throw him out the window. So if you.
I don't do whining.
No, it drives you nuts.
He knows that also. I don't do barking. I don't do whining. Quit whining.
Well, I have to tell you, it's been a real joy talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a pleasure. I hope I've been somewhat informative, just so you know what's available out there for you.
Thank you.
And the help's there. But I want to make sure we get to anything you had previously. We kind of just went with it. But
that's the biggest thing, is just trying to figure out what to do next with him. I agree. He needs the more intensive part of stuff. So that's probably what's coming down the pike next, once we can get everything settled to be able to, afford it. But
yeah, it's expensive. I think it's a good learning curve for a young adult like yourself. I'm 33, and it feels like 26. I was a different person back then.
Yeah.
Between my mid-20s and stuff, these dogs can really teach you a lot about behavior, even with kids. And I know you're a teacher, so you got it going on. But this experience, it's expensive, but it's not just to fix him. It's going to educate you, and you will never have to use a professional again if you do it right.
Right. That's the thing. I mean, again, our sister-in-law is she runs a rescue, and she's a nurse and does all the things. So it's like we've always said, we'd like to do that here. Like, give more dogs like him a chance to live in our house, that are kind of labeled the a-hole dog or aren't going to get adopted. So like that is totally the goal.
You can totally, if you get what you need for skills, and you already got the mindset. You're already there. I mean, you grow, of course, all that, but I'm telling you, I talk to a lot of people. And so because of your upbringing, your history and everything, you're already locked, you're already ready to go. So basically, once you learn how to do certain things and you understand what's needed for them to succeed in a family, you can literally get them out of be responsible for getting them out of the rescue or out of the shelter. Because all they need, man. You can do so much that people don't want to jump in dog, people don't want to bark in dog, people want a good companion. If you can take one of those guys and then he comes in your doors and a month or two later he's a good companion, or however long, 6 months, take your time, he's now a good companion, he can find a home. Although I hate that work because it'd be so hard to let him go. Yeah, it'd be hard to let go after that long.
Yeah.
But I love that. And I love that you're in Virginia too, so let's keep in contact if you get anything wrong professionally. Because we need trainers and we need resources,
Right, that's the thing. Like the company we work with, I felt like it was the only one that aligned with how we are, and now half of them are leaving. So
that's bad. Yeah, that's not good. It's time for you guys to make one, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, if your sister's down, if you have something there where you guys can get a vision together. And you need. Here's the thing. Margaret, I got to tell you one thing though. I don't like a certain thing about how rescues are being treated, I suppose, or shelters. I don't like the model because nobody's getting paid. And I think that if people got paid, dogs would do better and people would do better.
Yes.
You need to fucking get paid for this work. It's work.
That was the thing. The shelter we got him from, great people is there. It's a bunch of little old ladies that are just hanging out. And so, they're like, yeah, he's great,
Yeah, no, yeah, I know, but they can't hire somebody that...
and that's fine.
Exactly. If there was money, this is the government, right? If the government prioritized making that part of a government job to take care of this animal issue, right? They could hire people like me. Not, I probably wouldn't want to do it, but they could. And you could, I'm telling you, we could flip those dogs, get homes way quicker and way.
Yeah,
and you'd be able to see what.
They're like, yeah, he's just great. Like, he just hangs out. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure he does because he's great,
Yeah, and there's a small handful of them that aren't going to do good in homes, and there needs to be a place for them to go. But we don't have money, or when I say we, the country doesn't. This is all people trying to do this out of the kindness of their hearts, and it's time to put some money behind it. You need to pay people. What if dogs aren't worth? And this is the thing: is you can't put money on a dog, and I agree. I'm not telling you to put money on a dog. I'm telling you to put money on the resources it takes to bring.
People for it.
So what does it take to get this dog where it needs to be? Food, shelter, training. Come on, let's get it done. And then you get the whole, you're gonna find this. Then you get the whole other side of things where it's the purely positives. They want to live in their thing, so that we can't help these dogs because you can't punish. So of course the dog's not gonna give it. Literally, the dog jumps. If you let me punish it, won't jump anymore. It's done.
Yeah,
but you won't let me do it.
Our first trainer, we went to classes with him. We were like, oh my god, this is not it. So
I
he was
did the same thing.
And he's like, having a blast the entire time. Like, all right, a-hole, let's go home now.
And they got your money. But I did the same thing. I didn't know how to get my dog trained, and I went to PetSmart, and I was like, this is what you do. And one of the trainers there informed me. He's like, dude, let me tell you something. That's a big dog. If you really want your dog trained right, you need to contact me because these people aren't going to teach you what you need to know. I never did contact him, but he got the big reel spinning. He's like, what do I get? What do I need then? And then I watched The Dog Whisperer, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And I watched
the day
it.
It clicked for us was like the third session into this first trainer, and she's a big dog trainer. I mean, she only has Mastiffs, she only has Danes, so we were like, of course we can train this little dingleberry with doing that. And then she was like, we asked, we're like, so, but he likes rabbits, so how can I call it not that? And she looked dead in my eye and was like, well, I don't think I could call one of my dogs off rabbit. And we were like, oh, bye.
You need,
like,
yeah. The expectations changing, ladies and gentlemen. The consumer wants that. Yeah.
Like, no, but I'm gonna be able to do that. Like, are you kidding me?
You are gonna be. I mean, here's the thing: is like you know you can. Like that was another thing. You know how dogs can behave because you've seen it. You said with the rescue. But see, you got perspective. Some people think like bad dogs. They just think that's just how dogs are. If you can see how a dog can behave, which I was fortunate enough to see when I was young, then when you finally get your own dog as an adult, you're like, no, don't pull me. I've seen what dogs are capable of. And so now you have a higher expectation, and you know what? This guy can get there. He can have he can be tight, and he can also be a good guy, a good companion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just need him to be able to chill out.
It's gonna be achieved. So think about how you want to do it for yourself and him. You're well aware of how the industry is working after this conversation. And so it's very similar to the kids' education. I used to work with kids too in human services field with kids with special, with disabilities. And it was great when I first started working there, man. But I tell you what, almost a decade in, they started taking everything away and not replacing it. They're like, okay, you can't use this consequence anymore. Okay. You can't use this consequence. Okay. Now what am I getting? They're like, nothing. Basically, you can't do anything. And get them to behave. It's like, it's not going to happen.
Nothing and have fun.
Let me ask you something. Why don't you speed? Because of the ticket, right? Or death. This isn't how the world works. And it's happening in the dog industry now. I left the human services over here, and it wasn't as bad. And then within the 7 years I've been doing this, it's gotten worse. And so I think we're on its way, though. It seems like, I don't know about you, but it seems like people are kind of sick of the purely positive stuff. They're like, okay, enough.
I can see it clicking with a lot of people that I know that I'm like, you need to do this. And they're like, oh, but really? But yeah. I know somebody that just got a Pyrenees golden mix, and she's like, doing all the treat things. I'm like, Kobe's gonna drag your ass down the street. Like, you need to figure it out.
I tell you what, man, we could use some outspoken women in this industry. Seriously, because if I say it's like, oh, that guy's he's just a fucking white grumpy dude, and he's just an asshole, and I get it, I understand. But if you can get some females who are educated with a strong voice, or just has common sense like you, just having common sense like you and just saying it helps. It helps.
Gladly, which is again why I have my job. I've been arguing with our county all day already, and it's Monday, so.
Oh, wonderful! What a great way to start the week. You guys getting snow too?
Yeah, that's part of the argument.
Oh.
All the counties around us closed down, which is fine. I don't care about a snow day, but they closed down our meal services, so a lot of my kids aren't eating today. Yet we have school, so.
See, you shouldn't have to worry about that as the teacher. That's another thing about the teacher. Like, you guys aren't being respected enough. It's just not happening. It's just not happening.
Especially with my kids, I work in very low SES side of my county, which a portion of my county is very wealthy, so they tend to get all the consideration while we don't. So that's
that can be rough. But that's what builds good character in a person. You're still young. You're 26 years old. You're getting all this insight of how things work, and by the time you're in your 30s, you might be able to be ready to actually be in a position where you're going to be able to make some changes. And I'm serious. You can change.
Lovely.
We can change.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to start my degree in admin, so.
There you go.
I'm
busy.
enough already.
Well, I don't want to keep you too long. It's been the hour of 3 minutes left.
Thank you.
I want to make sure I don't go.
No, I think this has been great. I mean, his next steps, most definitely getting him into an actual program. So.
Yes, and do your research. I know you will. You know what you're looking for now, and I think that you'll. There's a lot of places, even places I didn't mention, that can handle him. But you're when you're talking to the person, you'll know.
Yeah.
Trust yourself. Trust yourself, because it's just, listen. You're not talking to a company. You're talking to a person. Just it doesn't matter what the name of the company is or anything. You want to talk to the person who's going to put hands on your dog.
Yep.
I want to know the trainer. Oh, I'm not talking to the trainer. See, you don't have to be mean, but it's like I want to talk to the person.
that's going to be with him. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then you will be able to decide when I can look in their eyes and talk to them. Even if it's like this, like you get an idea of the character of the person. And so,
Right.
so you know. And then
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I mean, this has been very helpful. I mean, just to know that my brain was on the right track.
You are well on the right track, and I'm impressed because it makes me happy seeing people on the right track with their minds, because I see the opposite, because that's the big problem. Let me tell you, the dogs that are struggling that I see is because people's mentalities are off usually.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the big one.
Okay, well, thank you again. It probably won't be the last time you hear from me, so.
Wonderful. Well, I would love to. I'm invested now. So if you make any moves.
Yep, we'll see how this guy goes along.